Hello, and welcome to Rain's Cryptids, Myths, and Folklore, Cryptid Thoughts. I'm your host, Rain. Today's episode is new, old, here, there, and babies, oh my. We got many topics to talk about in this episode. Let me start by saying that we as humans need to stop judging everything as automatic evil if we don't understand. Yes, there are bad things out there. But there are bad things, or should I say humans, out in the cities as well. Just be honest. Don't blame all bad on the species, just the one doing harm. Now, if you saw a cryptid in an area and someone else another time saw a cryptid in the same area, it most likely was not the same one. There isn't just one. There are many of them out there. The only time you will see the same one would be if it's a loner/rogue, which the loner includes wendigos, skinwalkers, lure-gurus, and the sort. They usually mean trouble, especially with the loner/rogues. They tend to be aggressive. They will attack humans in a heartbeat. Still, a pack could be nearby, especially if it isn't actually trying to kill you, just frighten you away. If you got away or they quit pursuing you, then they weren't trying to kill you, because you are not that good at getting away from a predator that naturally knows the area better than you, especially if it's its territory, as they don't want to bring attention to their pack, but they also don't want you to know that there is a pack nearby. Hence, they frighten you away. Now, if it's a rogue/loner, it is possible for you to get away, that being you are on equal grounds, since it might not know the area as well. If it's specifically a known loner, then of course, yes, it is probably the same one. But if they aren't known to be loners, most of the time, like werewolves/dogmen, or even Bigfoot, then probably not the same one. I mention Bigfoot only because if you see one, usually there are more, but you are just not seeing them. I mean, they are the hide-and-seek champions of the world. This is why we as humans should know about them. So when we do spot them, we would already know if it's a loner or not. Those high-ups keep their existence from us is why most don't know what they are seeing and if they are alone or not, which puts us in even more danger. I mean, when we go camping or just on vacation, especially wooded areas, we know to be careful of bears, wolves, cougars, and the sort. But since most don't know or understand these cryptids, we put ourselves in unknowing danger. Then the known animals get the blame, and some even killed for it. Most cryptids are usually spotted in national parks, reserves, reservoirs, and so forth. Of course, there are the occasional ones that make their way into the outer edges of towns and cities. But originally they stayed outside of those limits. It was a complete rarity to find them close to town or even in town, because most of them are not out to get us on purpose. So they would be loner/rogues, or just curiosity if they do. Bigfoot is usually the one with the most curiosity. Not to say others wouldn't, but Bigfoot is top of the list. That's not to say some prefer us, and I do mean in a bad way. But most of them are just animals and live in nature. Very smart animals, but animals nonetheless. With the animal factor, you also have to understand that means they could be, most are, territorial. When we come into their space, they don't like it. Like if some stranger comes into your yard and plops a squat on your porch like they own it. You're not going to like it. I'm starting to see more of them everywhere. I do not know if it's availability to spread the word or population growth. That also means ours and theirs. We have cell phones to capture or social media to tell the stories to now. Is it lack of space, or are we encroaching on their area? Or are they having babies as much as we are? Could the population be the cause of the lack of space? I have heard of many stories of the cryptids having babies, and with many different cryptids. Not cross-mixing between different species, sillies. That's not to say those high-ups are not trying to. So we should know that, of course, they are having babies. One story I came upon was a female werewolf protecting her baby, trying to get to some caves. Just like all mothers, don't mess with their babies, or they become more vicious than anything in this world. Now there are some that don't have babies, like the Wendigo and probably skinwalkers. They are not an animal like you and most cryptids, so no babies for them. Things like the Wendigo, their growth has to do with the growing evil in this world, which makes more of them, and more powerful as well. I don't believe we or cryptids are overpopulating, since from what I understand, you can fit all humans in the world in the state of Texas. Not saying it wouldn't be crowded, of course. So we are not counting that for now. But we are hovering in areas that have lots of beautiful mountains, forests, beaches, and the such, which is encroaching on them. Forests, swamps, and the such are great camouflage, and we tend to cut it all down to make sidewalks, roads, and the sort of ugly. Just in the United States alone, most of the human population is on the East Coast. The second to the East Coast is the West Coast, but the mid-area doesn't have a very high population, which is more flatlands, less camouflage. We are drawn to mountains and such, but it is causing problems for some of the cryptids. We are all drawn to nature. All animals are. But we tend to ignore it most of the time and just call it progress as we destroy and build bland structures in nature, which is devastating for us. We are also seeing a growing number of new cryptids that have never been heard of before. We also been finding new species of insects and animals, even marine life. And some that were thought to be extinct seem to be alive still as well. I am not sure where the new cryptids are coming from, but I am still investigating. It is possible these new ones could be from the experimenting on the old ones. Those secret officials have always loved to experiment on the cryptids, especially the ones with extra abilities like fast speed, healing, and so forth. This also includes camouflaging, as some cryptids are very good at it. Completely understandable to why they keep their distance from us, as I truly can't blame them. Us humans are not very friendly. All we ever do when coming across an animal, especially smart ones, is kill or study them, and I don't mean just watching them either. With that, it doesn't surprise me that some of those experiments would get away from them. I mean, we are only human, and making mistakes, well, we are good at that. From what I have heard, those high-ups use them for nefarious reasons as well. But we have to remember that created ones are one type, and the ones that have been around for centuries are completely different, as they are just animals. Of course, when I say that, I am not including wendigos, skinwalkers, and larugurus and the sort. Some of those are evil, and are more paranormal related, not just an animal. Of course, you also have us getting deeper into the forests, which could mean finding new species, as I have mentioned some a couple of videos ago. Now, there are some that could have been created by magical conjuring, like the Sphinx and the laruguru. Okay, I know some really don't believe in magic, but you should realize that if these cryptids exist, then you gotta accept the possibility that magic does exist. Everything is energy, and energy can heal, energize, and many other things, even when it might be evil, but magic itself is balanced. It is not evil, and it is not good either. It all depends on the user. We do need to realize they are out there, and stop letting people try and tell us we imagined them. We also need to do better with our collective data on them. We have some that are the same thing, but named differently because of different areas they were seen in. We even need to identify if they are just a cousin or the same one. I have found in my research they tend to have many varying names, but really are the same cryptid. That can make it difficult to track them sometimes. I have had some people ask why we don't find the dead of these cryptids. Well, just because they are animals does not mean dumb or simple-minded. I mean, most animals are very smart. We just give ourselves a big head to feel better about ourselves. So it's not to say that they wouldn't bury them, or some other reasons, like the possible use of portals. But in the end, they are smart, and so you gotta know they care for their family, even in death. Maybe we are not the only ones that know how to be humane. Plus, who's to say they don't live a very long time? Might be why we don't see as many babies as we see the adults. Maturity is older in some cryptids, maybe. Anything is possible. Also remember, as no one can definitively say what and where they came from. And this is always just us trying to figure them out. People have decided to automatically make them out as demons just because some have shown aggression. But again, I say, why would you judge all on one bad seed? Would you kill all bears or bills because one killed someone? No, you wouldn't. Most of these cryptids are animals and happen to have smarts like us, but choose to stay wild and close to nature. It doesn't give us humans the right to kill them just because we can. Of course, that's not to say we can't defend ourselves against them if they do attack or even kill one of us. But we humans need to stop acting like we are better and maybe learn our true history. Just something to think about. In our next ramblings of Cryptid Thoughts, I will talk about the caves and possible portals being used. I hope you will join me. Thank you. And until next time, this is Rain, signing off.